Hey, what's up, fellas? How you doing? Matt Antonelli here. Today, answering your questions. Today's question is on being a high round pick, being a first round pick. Are you treated differently than the rest of the players, right? The lower round picks or the undrafted guys. So we're going to go back a little bit and just kind of talk about I guess, how I was treated. Was I treated any differently? Was I treated just like any other player? Or at least how I felt I was being treated. So let's get into that. The first thing is, with your players and teammates, there's going to be like a lot of jokes, and they're going to play up the fact that you were a high round pick. You know, a lot of people are going to call you like a bonus baby and stuff. When you go places or go out to eat or something, a lot of times, guys are going to say, hey, he'll pick up the tab, like he was a first round pick, or, he signed for way more money than we did. And so you kind of listen to that stuff, I guess, a lot, especially at the beginning. After a couple years, that kind of goes away as you move up. But definitely the first couple years, like a lot of guys joke around with you with that stuff and try to kind of give you a hard time. But it's all in fun, honestly. No one really seemed to ever be mad about it or take it serious. I mean, it always was pretty laid back and fun. So that's kind of the first thing. I think from a fan perspective, the expectations are, I would say, much higher for an early round pick, especially in baseball, because in baseball, there's so many round picks, there's so many rounds in the draft that fans typically don't really know where the hell anyone got drafted because there's so many rounds. But usually they always hear about the first round pick, because usually, like, if you're going to look up the draft or you're going to watch it on TV, like, all they really talk about is like the first round pick, and that's really it. And so a lot of times fans, especially minor league fans, only know of the one player that got drafted, unless you're like some kind of hardcore, crazy fan. And so they know about the guy that got drafted high, right? And so I've told this story before, but my first game at my home stadium as a professional player, I had a guy yelling at me from the stands, "Come on, Matt, start earning some of that money." And I'd been playing for like 6 minutes, right? And so like the guy was already on me for not earning my signing bonus when I had literally just got there and just started playing. And so, you're going to be probably scrutinized a little bit more and looked at through a microscope a little bit more than a player that wasn't drafted as high. Even though I always say, when you get drafted, the way I always thought about it was, it doesn't matter where anyone gets drafted. Like, we're all in the same boat now. And, if he plays better than me, he's going to take my job. It doesn't matter where I got drafted. That's the mentality I had, but it doesn't always work like that. For instance, one thing you will see, and I noticed this as both a first round pick, and then also I noticed it down the road when I was no longer the team's pick, right, when I played for other teams, is a lot of times organizations will give the player that's drafted high multiple chances to fail or succeed, right? Whereas a lower round pick, they won't. So, maybe a 29th round pick gets a shot to get in the lineup and he doesn't play well for a couple of days, boom, he's out, or he's released, right? Whereas if you're a first round pick or you're a high pick, you're not getting benched right away, right? You could suck for a while and you're not getting benched. So I had that experience as a player. So, I played really well my first couple years as a professional. And then in AAA, I really sucked. But I didn't get benched for a long time, like, because I was a first round pick and they weren't going to bench me, like, and they weren't going to cut me, so they needed me to play because they gave me a lot of money. They want to see a return on that investment. So you get a much longer leash. Whereas if you're not that high pick, you could get released or thrown on the bench really, really quick because there's not a big investment in you. So that's definitely a huge thing. And I noticed that both for myself. And then when I became that, when I went to different organizations, I was no longer their first round pick. They didn't have the investment in me. Well, now it's the same thing. You don't produce, boom, you're on the bench. Or you're released, get out of here, right? It doesn't happen with high round picks right off the bat. So that's a huge difference. The other difference you're going to notice is that certain coaches will act a certain way towards you depending on the pick that you are. So there's some coaches that, like, when you're a high round pick, some coaches are like, they're your best friend because you're the high round pick and you're like the golden boy of the organization, and we've got to be nice to you and we've got to treat you really, really nice, and we don't want to mess you up and we don't want anything bad to happen to you, right? And so coaches are super nice to you. I played for some other coaches and managers that it felt like they acted a certain way towards towards me because I was a high round pick, right? So I had some coaches that kind of went harder on me, I felt like, because at least the way I thought it, they were like, screw this kid, first round pick, like high pick, like I'm going to be harder on this guy than the other guys, okay? Whether it's because they expect more out of you or whatever, you know, I noticed that same thing. So coaches will act certain ways towards you. You know, as far as front office and that type of thing goes, I definitely felt like when I was with the Padres in the first round pick, like when things were going really well, I remember everyone was like, hey, what's going on, man? Hey, great to see you. Hey, great job, blah, blah, blah. Everyone's best friends, right? And then I also saw, like, with other organizations, like if you're not a high pick, you're just like one of those random guys, like you're just kind of invisible. No one sees you, says anything to you, right? And players used to tell me that all the time. Like there were certain guys in the front office that I really, really liked, and other guys like hated them. And I would always be like, dude, like they'd always talk about, I hate that guy, this guy in the front office, whatever. And I would always be like, dude, why do you hate the guy so bad? He's like the nicest guy ever. And they're like, yeah, he's super nice to you because you're the high pick. And he's always, hey, how you doing? Every time you walk in, great to see you, buddy. What can I get for you? What can I do? Do you need a massage? You need a rub back rub? Foot massage? What do you want? Right? Like, yeah, they did that to me. But like when the other guy walked in, they'd be like, not say anything to him. Just walk by him, not say anything. It's almost like the guy doesn't exist. So that stuff happens, and players recognize that. Players used to always tell me that. I'd always hear them talking about that with guys. And I would be like, I don't know, man. Like, I love that guy. Like, they seem awesome. But then, like, when I was no longer the first round pick, when I was on a different team, like, you start noticing the same thing. You're like, well, the guy doesn't ever say hi to me when I walk around, but he loves this guy over here. So it's just funny. Again, I don't know if they know they're doing it. And I'm sure not everybody does it, but it's stuff that you notice. And players talk about that stuff. So that's another part of it. And on that note, I definitely noticed a difference when I was doing really well and I was supposed to be like the next guy to make it to the big leagues and hopefully have a really good career, the way like a lot of people treat you. And then all of a sudden, like I told you, towards the end of my Padres career, I was sucking. And like they treat you much, much differently. At least I felt like I did. Not everybody. I'm not saying that everyone did. But certain people definitely felt like they treat you a little bit differently. It's all, you know, now it's like, well, you know, you kind of suck and we're on to our new guys now. Like, so get out of here. So you do feel that a little bit too. And so, I mean, I guess that's the major differences, whether it's from a front office, coaches, fans perspective, teammate perspective. There's definitely differences between high picks and not high picks, just like there are differences between, you know, major league guys that have played in the major leagues for 15 years and, you know, and how they're going to treat a rookie or a young guy that just got called up. Coaches will say, like, oh, I try to treat everybody the same, and also if you hear that, I think that's impossible, and I think there's definitely differences. So hopefully that helps you guys out. Let me know if you have any more questions in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel if you've not done so already. Give us a thumbs up. I'd appreciate that. Share the video with all your friends. Check out the description box below. I've got links to a bunch of stuff that I think you guys will enjoy. Check out our Instagram, @SonallyBaseball, our Twitter feed, Man1029. I'm posting videos all the time for you guys. And that's all I got, guys. Thanks again for watching. I appreciate it, and we'll talk to you later.